After dramatically cutting back his minutes, Nick Nurse has called out Chris Boucher for his poor performance, so we'll discuss that, as well as Pascal Siakam drawing comparisons to Giannis Antetokounmpo, according to an NBA head coach. Kawhi showing some love to Toronto, looking ahead to tonight's game, so a lot of stuff to dive into. Without further ado, let's jump into the first topic of discussion. The first thing we're taking a look at is Nick Nurse calling out Chris Boucher. Now, Chris Boucher is a guy that has certainly become a fan favorite in recent years with the Toronto Raptors due to his hustle, right? The unorthodox three-point shot, being a Canadian and all that sort of stuff. And he's been a favorite of Nick Nurse as well, really being our sixth man for much of last season, and came out to the start of this year playing pretty solid. I mean, his averages on the year aren't too bad, right? 10 points per game, 6 rebounds, almost a block, almost a steal per night. Out there playing solid defense, 45% from the field, could be better as a big. But one area that's been a major concern to Chris Boucher this season has been the three-point shooting. Now, Boucher signed a multi-year contract with the Toronto Raptors this offseason, and came in expecting to live up to that, expecting to be a reliable six-man for the squad. And while he's certainly done some things out there on the court, the three-point shot has completely fallen off a cliff on a season where we really need him to be able to knock down some shots. And especially in recent weeks, especially the past couple of weeks, he's been given some opportunities out there, and the lack of three-point shot has really just hampered his offensive ability, offensive production. And Nick Nurse has taken notice and ended up benching Chris Boucher a couple of games ago, and only giving him 9 minutes in the most recent outing against the LA Clippers. And then one question, a question that was surrounding Precious Achiuwa potentially returning, helping out Chris Boucher. Nick Nurse was throwing shots at the Raptors' backup big man, essentially saying Chris Boucher has played 9 minutes without attempting a shot over the last 2 games. I just go with whatever the gameplay is. I haven't talked to Nick Nurse about it, so I don't know. So that's essentially what Chris Boucher ended up having to say about this whole situation. But when Nick Nurse was questioned, he came out and said that when a question about Precious Achiuwa, just said directly, Chris needs to play better. Full stop. That's why he's not getting minutes. It's not a beef. It's not something random going on. It's just Chris Boucher is underperforming. Now, people have been making jokes as Malachi Flynn just was recently taken out of the doghouse and has provided pretty solid production off the bench for the Toronto Raptors and able to knock down shots, knock down threes. But they're saying someone has to be living in the Nick Nursery if Malachi Flynn's taken out. Chris Boucher has been sent back down there. So it's pretty interesting, but I see where Nick Nurse is coming from, especially where the Raptors' current 2 major struggles are on three-point shooting as well as defense. Right, if Chris Boucher is not knocking down the threes and not taking any shots, as Josh Loomber pointed out in those lack of minutes, didn't take a single shot against LA Clippers and didn't even see the court in the outing prior. Right, Boucher's got to take some shots. He got his start. The reason he was taken out of a deep bench position is because a few seasons ago, that championship year, whenever he'd come in, he'd be confident, he'd be ready to fire it up, and he'd usually hit his threes coming off the bench and stuff. But now, looking a little bit passive, and we need that, unfiltered, just that Chris Boucher confidence in getting buckets for this team, especially from behind the three-point arc. So hopefully he ends up knocking it down. But Nick Nurse needs to find someone that can help out, fulfill, some rotation minutes. If Chris Boucher is going to be taken out of, he's fallen out of favor, because Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, all these guys are like top 10 in the league in minutes right now. So it's not looking good for the potential health of this team, but knock on wood, hopefully everything stays fine and Nick Nurse finds an option to run as a backup big man if Chris Boucher has fallen out of favor. Hopefully Chris Boucher just falls back into form. But the next thing we're taking a look at is Pascal drawing Giannis comparisons from an NBA head coach. Now, Pascal Siakam has been no other word to describe it, but dominant this season, and especially in recent outings, right? Having that remarkable historic performance at the Madison Square Garden against New York, big games against Cleveland, and even in a loss against LA Clippers, Pascal Siakam was doing all he could to drag a Raptors to victory. Now, it's the rest of the team that really needs to help him up. OG's been solid. Scotty's been inconsistent but solid, but everyone else really needs to step up and end up helping Pascal Siakam. Everyone's had their moments. I don't want to bag on any of our players too much because I know they're getting a lot of hate, but this season, Pascal Siakam, if you look at the stats, they are ferocious. 27 points per game, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, a steal a night, half a block a night. Not having that many turnovers, only 2.5, given that 7 assists. That's a great assist to turnover ratio. The 3-point percentage is around 34%, but the field goal percentage is close to 50. All love, all praise. No higher praise can come from me than what I'd provide to Pascal Siakam right now. And he's getting some respect. He's getting some love shown throughout the NBA. As Ty Lue, following the Clippers outing, or the game against the Clippers, the Raptors outing against the Clippers, Ty Lue basically made a little interesting comparison for Pascal Siakam, saying that he reminds me of the Greek Freak. The Toronto Raptors have seen Pascal Siakam reach a superstar status as he draws a Greek Freak comparison from LA Clippers coach Ty Lue, and that's interesting because Giannis Antetokounmpo is obviously a guy Toronto Raptors have really wanted. We, especially at this channel, have been on Giannis watch since we've essentially launched this channel, 5 years ago. But, it seems like we have Pascal Siakam at home because I just showed his stats. And while they aren't super comparable to what Giannis is doing, or Giannis is definitely the more elite player right now, 32 points per game, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. Was one of Finals MVP, but Pascal Siakam is shooting a little bit better, and he's drawing the same type of just defensive focus that Giannis is getting. I don't want to Ty Lue is comparing him to the NBA MVP, right? Finals MVP and all that sort of stuff. He's not at that level just yet, but we're seeing him grow. And Pascal has come out and said that he still sees levels for him to get to, levels for him to improve. So who knows? Maybe a couple of years, if we have a healthy Pascal Siakam, he keeps having healthy offseason. It seems like every offseason where there isn't a pandemic or he doesn't have shoulder surgery, heck, even the one he had shoulder surgery, he comes back a new player, ready to improve, ready to grow, right? That's what we like to see from Pascal Siakam. So, hopefully he continues this outing. Hopefully we get some players to not waste a Pascal Siakam prime year because he has been elite this season. But the next thing we're taking a look at is Kawhi showing love. Speaking of Finals MVPs, Kawhi showing love to the Toronto Raptors. Now, a lot was made about Kawhi Leonard coming back to Toronto. Hasn't had many games there due to the pandemic and due to Tampa and due to him being injured for pretty well all last season. So, coming back home, our home, Kawhi Leonard pulled up Toronto. It was the second night of a back-to-back. Usually he sits those games, but he faced off against the Pistons night before, sat that one, wanted to play against Toronto. And some people might be saying, oh, Kawhi just wants to stick it to the Raptors, give them an extra loss. No, he wanted to let Toronto Raptors fans see him play, as he came out and said in this one. Oh, actually, I have the direct video, so I'll get that played here if I can get the buttons straight.
Memories coming in this arena, and if I was going to see the game, I'd rather give the fans of Toronto a chance to see me play again, and that was a part of my decision.
So basically, Kawhi says he's had a lot of great memories in Toronto. He wanted to play in front of the Toronto fans, people that spent their hard-earned money watching and wanted some Raptors tickets. He wanted to play in front of those guys. So good guy Kawhi Leonard. Obviously won us a championship. Will forever be loved in Toronto and Canada for bringing us that chip. Definitely would have been more loved if he didn't go to the LA Clippers, but I digress on that point. Appreciate Kawhi letting Raptors fans see what he can do. But the final thing we're taking a look at, the final thing we're talking about this is the Toronto Raptors need this. And we have a game tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies. We're on a little hot streak. We had 2 great wins against the New York Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then a brutal loss to the LA Clippers. This team is currently in limbo, and right now we are out of the playing conversation. You can see the standings down below. You can follow it, see how far back we are, but we are the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference. The Chicago Bulls have passed us, and we need a W tonight. Tonight we're facing the Memphis Grizzlies, and the odds are actually pretty good for the Toronto Raptors. If you look at them here, right, we're a plus 25. We want to bet on the Toronto Raptors to win this game. So, you want to add some extra omens, good love to the Toronto Raptors potentially winning. Definitely send your prayers. And also, you want to make the game more exciting, sign up for CoolBet. They're a sports book that are regulated all across Canada, right? You can get some, they're looking at all the odds. Goody's breaking all those down. It's his full-time job looking at all that stuff. But CoolBet has some of the best odds for Raptors games, for NBA games, for any sports out there in general. So definitely sign up for CoolBet using our app down below. You can get custom odds, custom futures, especially with the trade deadline coming down. So you don't want to miss out any of those. I know people on our CoolBetters chat are asking, you can bet on the MVP. You can bet on all those types of awards and stuff using the CoolBet app. So definitely check them out down below. But folks, you guys are the best for making this far. Subscribe to Raptors Digest if you enjoying the content, and happy holidays to everyone out there. Merry Christmas. Still got the Christmas tree out here rocking, but you guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.